Hey guys, Glenn here, and today we're looking at the great classic tune by Herbie Hancock, Cantaloupe Island. We're going to look at how to play it as he originally played it, just kind of the piano riff. Then we're going to look at maybe some other creative ideas that we might be able to play in a band context, also in a just playing it solo piano kind of a context, and see how we go with that. All right, it's a little bit cold here. I'm here in Australia. Where are you guys from? Let me know in the comments below. It'd be interesting to know where you guys are checking out these tutorial videos from. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. Okay, we'll look at the left hand first. We're just going to do the basic riff first, the piano riff that Herbie Hancock did. So we're going to start with our left hand. Now we're in F minor. All right, we're in F minor, and we've got a 1-5 to start with, and then the 7 of that F minor chord, and then the 1, or sometimes we might think of that as the 8. We're going to do 1 and 2 and, so it's on 2 and, right, the second half of beat 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we'll leave a link in the description below of some sheet music that I found on the internet too that might help you out as well, so that'll be just below as well. So 1 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'm using my fingers 5, 1 and kind of crossing over. You could do 3, 2, 1, something like that. Either way, really. And then it's pretty much the same thing, but with a D flat chord. We do that 8 times the F minor chord, and then the D flat gets done 4 times. Okay, so we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so it's the 1, 5, the 7, and the 1 again. All right, so 1, same rhythm. All right, so that gets done 4 times, and then we're doing a D minor chord, and the left hand just does D and A in the left hand, right hand, whatever hand, right? This hand here, this hand down here, right? So that does D and A. Okay, so let's look at the right hand now. Now we're starting off with a F minor triad, just a basic F minor triad, no sevenths in there or anything like that, but we're in first inversion. Okay, so we're going to go 1 and 2. We're going to go straight into a B flat chord there. So it's 1 and, playing on the end of the 1, right? And also 2. Okay, so 1 and 2. Okay. Now then there's a grace note B, just a really quick grace note B, and then C, E flat, and F, which really is, just talking about the, well, if I put that F in there, it's really talking about F minor 7. Okay, so we've got 1 and 2 and 3, and then we go back. Okay, the F stays on the top the whole time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, hopefully that kind of makes sense for you. Now, when you're putting that all together, it's a little bit complicated, but you just got to kind of break it down slowly. Just do left hand, right hand, right hand together really slow. Then just do left hand, right hand together really slow until you get it right. So we're going 1 and 2 and. Okay, so that's kind of probably your starting point. 1 and 2 and 3. Oh, that's going to be together. Well, the last bit there. 1 and 2. So you just got to kind of do that slowly. Let me do it one more time real slow for you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So those last 2 are together, all right? So, and it's just, coming back, all right? Then we go to the D flat chord. Now the D flat, we already looked at the left hand, but let's look at the right hand now. Pretty much the same thing. We're going to have F still on the top, and we're really kind of working on some D flat notes basically, right? Same thing, but same rhythm. So once you've got that F minor thing, this is going to be a breeze for you anyway. So we're going to do that there. It's really kind of the D flat chord, the D flat 7. Then it goes to a, I guess it feels like a B flat minor chord there, of course, and then like times. And then we have the rhythm goes 1 and 2 and, right? So, and it's quite simple actually. It's a D minor chord, but what Herbie Hancock's done here, he's done D and A down here, and G, C, and F. Okay, so excuse me, just a quick sneeze there. All right, so we're going. All right, we've got that. 1, and you just hold that 2, 3, 4. All right, and then you're back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that's the piano part, right? So it's worth learning that. You know, when you turn up to a gig, sometimes someone in the band really wants you to play Cantaloupe Island exactly like it was played in the original. I'm not a fan of kind of doing that. I like doing my own thing, but just sometimes you turn up to a gig and there's a trumpet player, saxophone player really wants to hear that original riff that's worth knowing. Maybe sometime down the track you'll be teaching some students of your own, and you know you'll be able to teach the original there as well. All right, so let's have a look at it. It's F minor, right? So, and I have seen Herbie Hancock play it in many different ways, of course, right? So it's fair game to change it up. Totally fair game to change it up. We've got F minor. You can kind of do like a funkier kind of a thing, you know, something like that. I don't know. I mean, you could do some. So what I was doing there, you can see there's an A flat. It's not kind of showing up there, but it's an A flat right there as well. So it's an F minor, add 9, and I'm kind of just heading up there. I didn't really change anything except that top note, and I kind of just rolled up really quickly. That's what I did, yeah. So I did break and left. I'm just kind of improvising really at the moment. So you could do something maybe with some fourths. Like he did those fourth kind of quartal kind of chords, right? G to C is a fourth and C to F's a fourth. And it's kind of like those so what chords, right? But just a little bit less of it, right? And so he did that with the D minor, right? But you could do that with the F chord. You could do something like that with the F chord. You could do something like that, or you could kind of do something. So what I'm just doing there is I'm kind of just picking some small clusters that fit the F minor scale, the Dorian, which is what I'm looking at, the F Dorian, but any kind of the notes that kind of fit with that F minor. I'm kind of just thinking, what kind of fits in there. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, a bit slower. It's just something different that would free up your other hand to kind of improvise or play the melody. If you're doing it more kind of the original, that speed. You might want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you don't have to do it quite as repetitive as well. You can kind of be more like. It's really just an F minor thing, right? So you just got to kind of do something F minor. Here's the melody. I'll kind of play. D flat still. there's a couple of maybe some ideas there, but just kind of, play around with that. So I would go with something like this. These chords here are really nice. You can kind of go up one there and then come straight back down, something like that for the D flat chord. Here's a nice one here. You can kind of play that, the sharp 9. Probably the 9 is better than the sharp 9 because of the melody, being the F. So it may be a little bit too close to the melody there, maybe depending on how you voice it and what other instruments are playing it. Or if you're playing it yourself, you can kind of, you might not play it at exactly the same time. You may love that crunch, so you could maybe get away with that as well. And also just try some of those clusters out. Here's some F minor clusters that you could use. This would probably work as well. Also, maybe the D flat clusters. Here's a nice little D flat cluster. You can see if I put a D flat in. Oh, it's not Chordy's not going to tell me it's a D flat something. All right, if I add an F, it will. Okay, so you could do something like that. You could maybe do that. It's not quite as clustered. That works as well. All right, you can just see I'm really just going up the chord there at the moment there. So there's some things there. Now, when you get to the D minor, you can almost pretty much hit any kind of white note and it will sound okay. You've got a D down the bottom here and you kind of... I'm just going to randomly play, some white notes. Okay, here's some, here's just, like it's a G chord, right? Try an A minor chord. It'll kind of work, right? I'm not a big fan of the try, but I'm just trying to show anything will work here, There's those fourths, you can do some clusters as well. You can kind of move it up and down. But here's the original. You can kind of start there, then play some random white notes, right? Right, they're just kind of random white notes that kind of work when you're doing that. Hopefully that's kind of some sort of help for you, to do that. All right. Now, if you're looking at improvising over Cantaloupe Island, the most basic kind of options really for you would be to start with the F Dorian when you're playing the F minor chord, the F Dorian. All right, there's the notes of the F Dorian, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat, and F. And then when you go to the D flat 7 chord, not really much has to change there, but you've got a D flat obviously. Because it's the 7th chord, the most appropriate chord would be a mixolydian, right? But you could do some other things as well. But mixolydian will work quite nicely. All right, so you could do that. All right, you could do that when you go to the D minor chord. Just play white notes. All right, it's just D Dorian, okay? Now, a couple of other options for you there. The F blues actually works really good through the F minor and the D flat 7, and I've done that with my student bands quite often when you just want to kind of teach one scale so you can get going as fast as possible. So if you want to learn one scale, you can learn the F blues here and then just play white notes on the D, right? So the D minor, right? So the D, this is the D Dorian, right? So it's just white notes. You don't even really need to learn that, okay? And then the F blues is, okay, F, A flat, B flat, B natural, C, E flat, and F. So here's what it sounds like over the F. All right, sounds fine. Here's what it sounds like over the D flat. The C doesn't work as good. You just kind of don't want to stop there. But if it's a running note, it kind of it's all. If you're moving on, right? You could replace the C with a D flat if you wanted to. Like so close, right? And that has a really kind of cool sound about it anyway, I think, in my opinion, right? So it's pretty close to the D flat mixolydian anyway. Now, if you wanted to, with the F minor scale that we're using, which is the F Dorian, right? if you want to add in that B natural, that works really nicely too, right? Oops, I'm just playing the blues scale. Right, that works really nicely. Now that adds in one extra note there that kind of evens up the scale a little bit as well. Kind of makes it 8 notes going up and down, if that makes sense, not 7 notes before you get to the last note, right? So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that can be of some kind of interest to you, playing through that. Now, what I think the notes that change are the notes that you want to kind of accentuate just a little bit, as you're playing your solos. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, so and what are they? Let's just look at those really quickly. You've got the C and the B are going to change, right? So, right, that B is only a grace note, right, that we did before, right? So you can see here, those notes work really, really nicely, right, with the F minor. But when we go to the D flat, it's that B natural that we really want to hear, right? So, right, if I'm just kind of play all the same notes in the same position, right? So I really want to kind of, do something with that B, and we really want to do something with that D flat, right? And then when we go back to the F minor, right? So it's that C, D, kind of thing where we change to, right, 1, 2, and then of course with the D, everything's kind of changed, right? Even the feel changes. We've got this kind of, funky kind of a feel thing going on here too. Everything kind of stops. Just for a little bit, right? I get 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we've got 8 bars of this. Here, I really accentuated that B. It's kind of nice to use that same note, I think, there. Like the melody, I was playing with the D flat chord, that F, and when we went to that D minor chord, it was kind of nice to stay with that F because so many things are changing right then. The feel changes, the tonality of that whole kind of little section just changes dramatically, right? So it's kind of nice to have something that stays the same. It just kind of felt like for me it just pulled it together and kept it not too crazy, if that kind of makes sense. All right. So there's some kind of some scales that you can kind of work with there. In terms of picking some stuff that's a little bit outside of there, with the F minor, you might want to start looking at maybe something with related to that. You could look at that A flat major, right? Now, if you just play an A flat major scale, you'll have a D flat in there, so that kind of note comes in. I don't know. I kind of struggle with this piece of music to think too far outside of the box on this one. The D. Let's leave the F minor. Let's go to that D flat one because it's kind of easy to do some different stuff on that. Now let me show you a little trick that I like to use, is to do the tritone substitute, which is 3 tones away. You can change the chord and stuff like that, but don't necessarily have to change the chord, but you can actually change the notes of the melody that you play. So let's say you kind of, you're playing this chord, the D flat chord, but you might want to play the scale or the arpeggio of the tritone substitute, which is G7, right? So you can be playing this chord here, and then play. Oh, my B's not. There we go. There we go. It was a little bit sticky or something, right? So I'm playing. It's kind of outside, but kind of cool at the same time, right here. That kind of works, right? So I like kind of mixing it up there with the tritone substitute scale that sort of belongs to there. Anyway, the other kind of scale that I kind of really like doing is building up on. This is on dominant 7 chords. Building up, and you can add these as almost like slash chords, really. Let's say I just play root position D flat 7. If I play the minor third, which is an A major triad on top of that, I end up with this kind of sound, right? Which is really cool. You can kind of works really kind of nicely. It gives you, that gives you the sharp 9, right? So you can go. You can then go up again a minor third again, so you end up with the, a minor third up from that is the G, which is what we already did anyway, right? That's kind of the tritone substitute, but it works through there as well. Then you can go up a minor third again, and you'll end up with the B flat scale, so you can kind of play the B flat. Kind of works really nicely over there too, if you want to play a little bit more outside, right? So you can, maybe there's a couple of little ideas for you anyway. All right, guys, hopefully that's helpful for you. If you've got any questions, hit me down below, and I'll see what I can do for you. And if it's appropriate, I'll even do a whole video on it, and if I think it's going to help a whole bunch of people at the same time. All right, guys, all the best. I'll see you real soon. Bye.